Oh my goodness. Spicy. This car literally sounds like all hell is breaking loose. Well, I've been noticing a lot of comments on various videos asking, where's the E63? Where's the AMG? Make more videos on the AMG. And you guys who've been asking that, you're in luck in this video. This video is on my 2010 E63 AMG. I can't believe it, but it's already been over a year since I purchased this thing, made a lot of progress mechanically, cosmetically, and I absolutely love it. And the reason it's not on the channel all that much is because it's my daily driver. It needs to reliably get me from A to B, every single day. So I usually don't mess with it too much, but we got a couple things we want to do to it in this video. Some are mods, some are maintenance. So we're gonna be giving the AMG some love in this video. But before we get started, this thing is absolutely filthy. Interior, exterior, just nasty. Like I said, it's my daily, so sometimes it falls by the wayside as far as detailing is concerned. Also, I was out of the country all week, so the car sat at the airport all week outside, and it was messy even before I drove it to the airport. So it needs a complete interior and exterior detail before we can get started on anything. You guys know me, you know that I like to start any project, no matter what it is, with a clean slate, so we got to clean this thing. So let's go back to the house, clean this thing. Also got to pick up some of the supplies we're going to need for this video. So let's do that first, actually, then we'll go back to the garage, get this thing clean, and then I'll show you what we got in the store. All right guys, it's a couple days later, got the Mercedes completely cleaned up inside and out, and boy did it need it. It was filthy, so feeling much better about it. Also got all the supplies we're gonna need for this round of mods and maintenance, so I think we're ready to get to work. Only thing is, I'd like to do this work in the lift bay. Z06 is in there right now. So let's back this thing out of the lift bay, put the Mercedes in there, and then I can show you what I got as far as supplies. Well, appears I still have an oil leak. Add it to the list. Sure does look good though. Shoo! That's a tough choice. Which one are you taking? All right, got some cars shuffled around, Corvettes in this bay, got the AMG in the lift bay, got the arms all set to go, she's ready to go in the air. So we're ready to get to work. So let me show you what I got. First, on the maintenance side, nothing too exciting, at least here anyways. Just an oil change. Like I said, it's been like 5,000 or 6,000 miles since I've done the head bolts and adjusters and all that on this car. And I think it's really important on the M156 motor to do your oil changes a lot sooner than the Mercedes recommended 10,000 or 7,500 miles. Those of you guys that are familiar with this motor, some of the common issues that I already addressed in my previous video, I'll link up here. I took care of all of them, but there's one that you really can't do anything about other than just good, consistent maintenance, and that is the camshafts wear out, and they can cause all sorts of misfire issues if the valves aren't opening all the way. And obviously you're not doing yourself any favors in that respect if you're not changing your oil. So if your oil's dirty, could get some material between the lifter and the camshaft and wear out the camshaft faster. Point being, these motors are pretty darn reliable if you take care of them. Me personally, I'm gonna be doing oil changes every 5,000 to 6,000 miles on this thing. The oil still looks pretty clean, but it's been a year, and it's just time to do it. So oil change is one part of it. On the modification side, let me show you what we got. So some of this stuff has showed up over the past 6 months as I kind of worked to develop this with the producers of this kit, which is E63 Motorsports. So this is the same guys that made the adjuster plates for the camshafts that I installed in the previous video. These guys are also developing a catch can. So they have sent me a basically prototype catch can for this chassis. As I've mentioned in previous videos, this particular car is pretty rare. The M156 is really common in the C63 from 09 to like 2014. But on the E-Class, so the W212 E-Class, it was literally 2010 this year and the next year, 2011. Those are the only 2 years you get the M156 in this chassis. In 2012, they went to the M157, which was the twin turbo 5.5 liter. So this car by itself is pretty darn rare. They didn't make a whole lot of them. So there's not as much aftermarket parts out there for them. I mean, the headers was kind of a struggle if you guys watched that video. Most of the mods you're going to find are for the W204, the C-Class, the E63 AMG. This car with this motor is kind of rare. So no one made a catch can to fit this car because everything was designed for the C63. So E63 Motorsports saw my video on the adjuster plates, asked me if I was interested in helping them develop the catch can for this car. And, obviously I was more than happy to do so. So they sent me some parts. We've been kind of going back and forth over the past couple months, getting fittings right, hoses right, where you're going to mount it and all that. and I think we got a solution. So let's get this stuff unboxed, and then I'll kind of go into why you'd want to do a catch can on a car like this. So here's what we got from E63 Motorsports. Basically the main event here is the catch can, in and out, some AN lines, and then a ton of fittings, and then obviously a bracket to mount it. The guys were even nice stuff to throw in a little keychain. Some of this stuff was showed up, like I said, months ago, and I did some test fitting and then showed them and kind of told them what we might need to make it work on the W212 chassis. And then some more fittings showed up later. So not entirely sure how all this goes together, but we're gonna find out together. And basically the purpose of a catch can, for those of you guys that don't know, is to kind of filter out any unburned oil or moisture or junk that would normally go from the crankcase back up and then back through the intake manifold to be burned for emissions purposes. The crankcase is going to build pressure as the pistons are going down. You need to have some way to vent that. Most manufacturers are not going to allow you to vent it to atmosphere like I do in both of these cars, but from the factory they want those gases back reburned and out the exhaust to try and be as clean and efficient as possible. Only problem with that is a lot of times, especially on certain chassis, this one included, is it gunks up the intake manifold. You get oil deposits in there, carbon deposits, it can end up on your intake valves. There's all sorts of reasons to have a catch can. And as the name implies, basically the dirty oil and all that stuff from the crankcase is going to come in here, get filtered through the element in here, and then come out this side clean and go back to your valve covers or PCV valve in this case, which brings us to this component right here, which is a brand new Mercedes-Benz PCV valve for the M156. The only reason I'm doing this, I'm not experiencing any issues with my PCV valve or positive crankcase ventilation valve, is they're notorious for going bad, and while you're doing this, you basically have to take your PC valve off. So you'd be dumb not to replace this while you're in there. I feel like I say that almost every video on my channel. While you're in there, preventative maintenance, we're doing the PCV valve while we're at it. So I think that's enough talking for now. Let's get to work. What I'd like to start with, I think, is I'm gonna start draining the oil, because the oil is not hot. Normally I'd like the oil to be hot when I drain it. But I don't want to be working on a hot engine really. So I'm just going to get started draining the oil. Then I need to remove some of the engine covers and the intake baffles and all that to try to get to the back of the motor where the PCV valve is, so we can start this catch can installation. So let's get to work. All right, we are making some progress here. So, got the oil drained out of this thing, got the air boxes and filters and intake tubes and all that stuff out of the way. And most importantly, struggled for 45 minutes or so to get the old PCV valve off. So here's the new one just to show you. And basically it hooks in under this throttle body. You can't see it, you'll never be able to see it. Maybe I'll input some B-roll footage of where it connects right here, but basically it goes under the plenum there, connects to the valley, and then connects to the intake manifold right there. You guys can probably see where that would slide in. So getting it out from the top is no big deal, but under there's no room for your hands, and you're supposed to squeeze these connectors, which releases the clips, and then this pulls out. Sounds easy, right? But there's zero room back there. My hands are all torn up and swollen from trying to get back there. I struggled with it for a while. Intentionally broke this tube to give myself some more wiggle room with this thing, and then at the end there I basically just said screw it. Let me just try and force this thing off and see what happens since we're not replacing it. And it came off all in one piece, which is great. Everyone else says you have to remove the intake manifold to do the PCV valve, which I can kind of see why, but that seems like a lot of work, and I figured I'd give it my best shot to get it off without doing that. And even though it was a bit of a struggle, still definitely less work than completely removing the intake manifold, all this stuff, injectors, fuel lines, getting new intake manifold gaskets, cleaning the gasket surfaces, and then just having to put it all back together. So I think it was worth the wait there. And I think that's the hardest part of this job. Also, took a break to calm my nerves before I started throwing tools out the window, and decided to drain the oil. Got that completely drained, just let it drain while I was eating dinner. Brand new Mercedes-Benz filter in there, new crush washers, everything cleaned up. So the oil is completely drained from both the sump and the oil cooler. So I think we're ready to add new oil. Over here, I also think I've figured out exactly how this kit goes together. Also, here's a better shot of the inside of the 63 Motorsports catch can. There's your filters and elements in there. Same thing over here. But basically, our PCV valve, like I said, this side would connect to the intake manifold. This side connects to the valley and the block. In between here somewhere, we need to put our catch can. So the way this works, I believe, is this is going to go on the intake manifold here. This is going to adapt that to there, to your AN lines. So then going to come out of the block, go into here, go out here, go to the catch can, come back, and then go to the intake manifold. And just because I like you guys, I made you a visual. If you can deal with my chicken scratch, here is your E63 PCV setup. Pretty basic. Here's how it would have been from the factory. Like I said, come from the block, go up to the PCV valve, and then it would loop right back into the intake manifold. That's basically what we just undid. Now what we're going to be doing is going from the block to our new PCV valve. AN fitting will be here, which will adapt it to AN hose, which will bring us over to the catch can. We'll filter out any junk, and it'll just kind of collect at the bottom. You know what? I should draw that. Boom. Junk. We don't like that. No good. Anyways, that's going to filter out there. Then we come up here with fresh, clean air. AN line here, all the way over to our AN adapter at the intake manifold. Now we're good. Complete, clean system. Every once in a while, we'll check the catch can, empty it. And now we can keep the intake, or the air going to our intake manifolds. Now we can keep the oil residue and gunk and all that to a minimum going into our intake manifold. So that's the basic idea. So basically, now I just need to, figure out where we're going to mount this using this bracket. I think I already have a good spot for it because that's basically what I was doing the R&D for with 63 Motorsports. But now basically I need to install these adapters in their appropriate places, figure out which bends I'm going to use, which hose I'm going to use, make our PTFE AN lines. These are PTFE, by the way, nice stuff. I believe this is -10. So let's get started by getting those adapters on the intake manifolds and the the PCV valve here, and then figure out what I'm going to do about the hoses. And yeah, we'll get going on this catch can install. Alrighty, so got our brand new PCV valve successfully installed under the throttle body here, clipped into place, good to go. We have our AN billet adapter on the back of the intake manifold. Same thing right there on our PCV valve. So now we can run 2 AN lines all the way up here to our catch can. And working with the guys at E63 Motorsports, despite the fact that the E-Class is bigger than the C-Class, there's surprisingly almost less room in the engine bay somehow. It was very difficult to find a spot where the catch can would fit. Ultimately, we decided that really the only place it's gonna fit is right here next to the coolant reservoir. And I actually already did this. You can see right here. Normally this wire harness goes on the outside of this bracket here. Had to move it to the inside, no big deal, it fits in there nicely. And now there's just barely enough room for this thing to slide in there and get our AN hoses out. So basically what we're gonna do is 2 AN hoses come out here, and then similar to this factory bracket right here, our AN lines are gonna do a 120-degree turn, go straight back, follow the motor here, and then come around and make our 2 connections back there. And I've drawn that out on the table here to show you guys and also make it easier for myself to keep track of where I'm going. So here's our bracket, here's our catch can, got our NPT to AN adapters, 2 45s right off the can will kind of angle us out this way. A couple short pieces right there, get us to that 120 we were talking about. Some couplers, some straight fittings, straight back along the motor, and then a 120, or I'm sorry, then a 90 for the intake manifold, which is going to be situated like that, and then a 45 for the PCV valve itself. So that should get us a nice curve around to the straight section, back into the PCV valve. So that's my plan right now. Just gotta make some AN hoses. This is PTFE stuff, super nice. I'm pretty familiar with making these, so just gotta measure, make these hoses, get everything hooked up, get the catch can mounted. Should be good to go. All right guys, next day here and we are just about done with the catch can install, so let me show you everything. Catch can's mounted, nice and secure. Made our AN lines, 2 tiny little short guys to come over here to the 120, just as I described on the bench. Coupler here for both of them, then a nice straight shot all the way back here to our PCV valve, and then another one for our intake manifold down here, 90 right there. So we're complete here. Everything's tucked up nice with the factory wiring harness here, zip tied, loomed, out of the way, looks good. All of this is going to be covered up by the air boxes, so really all that you'll see is the nice 6.3 Motorsports catch can, some nice AN fittings, and then if you got a keen eye, you might see some of this nice braided AN line running along the sides here. But all of this is going to be covered up by the Y-pipe and by the air boxes. You'll see it when it's all done. Unfortunately, tore up the insulation a little bit back there. There is just no room to maneuver anything back here. Tightening these was kind of a pain, but that's just the nature of stuffing a 6.2 liter motor in this tiny engine bay. Not to worry though, like I said, you're not going to see any of this. So once this is all done, should look super clean. So all that's left to do is get some fresh oil in this thing, put our Y-pipe back on, put our air boxes back in, clean everything up, start this thing up, make sure we don't have any leaks, and we can go take it for a drive. I mean, nothing too exciting, just a catch can install and an oil change, but everything sounds good here. Got 9.5 quarts of fresh synthetic European motor oil in there. Let's let it get up to temp, check for leaks, take it for a drive. buddy. Crispy shifts never get old. Oh, I love this car. What did we just burn through? 4 gears? Just absolutely boiling tires. Everything seems good here. Still sounds just as sewing machine smooth as it always has. Catch can still here. You know, catch can's one of those mods that you don't really feel any performance benefits from it, but it's there and you know that it's doing its job. We're now getting clean air back into our intake manifold instead of oily, slimy, carbon deposits, all that good stuff. So very, very important. A lot of plane action tonight. Maybe it's because I'm on a runway. Who knows? But yeah, this 63 Motorsports catch can is a very important part of this M156 package. Super fortunate to be able to team up with those guys to get this. So yeah, huge shout out to 63 Motorsports for A, making a catch can for the M156 platform, and B, for choosing me to help them develop it and further develop the W212 M156 chassis. I'm gonna leave their website below as well as the link for the catch can. If you have an M156 or M157 or 59 or really any AMG, those guys have the best stuff out there. Super high quality. Everything's billet, aluminum, ARP hardware, titanium, all the nicest materials. There's nothing cheap on their website. Those guys don't offer anything of poor quality. It's all top of the line, top tier stuff. 63 Motorsports recommends that you check the oil catch can every 3,000-ish street miles. So that's what I'm gonna do. We'll keep an eye on it, but as of right now, like I said, can't complain about anything. Car runs perfect, and I know that it's getting clean, fresh air to the intake manifold. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. The AMG is gonna go back to daily driving duties and daily tire roasting duties, I guess. I've said it in almost every video with this car. That's why I buy cheap tires, because it is so fun to just boil them off. So yeah, that's a wrap. Interior detail, exterior detail, maintenance, oil change, complete catch can install, and she's ready to go for God knows how much longer. So thank you guys as always for watching. Catch you in the next video.